Greetings, YouTubians, and welcome back to Wayne Sharp World, where we have another episode brought to you by White Mountain Knives. Look them up for all of your knife and EDC needs, and be sure to use this code right here, WSW10, for 10% off your entire purchase through White Mountain Knives. So go over there, pick yourself up a knife, maybe this one right here. This is none other than the Kansept Kratos. Now this is a very interesting knife. One of the most unique blades I've ever come across, and I got a lot to say about it. Before I do that though, let's take a look at some overall specs on this knife right here. We have an overall length of 8.75 inches with a blade length coming in at 3.75 inches. Cutting edge of 3.75 inches as well, with a blade width coming in at 1.13 inches, a blade thickness of 0.15 inches, a blade material of S35VN with a drop point style blade. Very, very unique compound grind with a handle length of 5 inches, a handle thickness of 0.55 inches, and a handle width right around 1 inch. Now the handle material on this guy is a combination of titanium and carbon fiber with a frame lock locking mechanism and a user of a right hand only tip up carry, weight coming in at 5.2 ounces with a price of $238. And this is none other than an Ostap Hell design. So very, very unique design coming from Ostap. I would not have guessed this was his if it didn't say it on the blade. So just a looker. Quite the looker that we have here. And it's a big looker. Let's see how big it is with some size comparisons. Let's check out some other pretty interesting blades. The ZT-0850. And let's pair that with the good old notorious Deadpool. One of the more interesting Spyderco blades there are out there. And as you can see, the length is really on point with these two knives. Very close to both of them indeed. Now we have one other grouping here. Let's take a look at those ones as well. And those ones are the Chavez Redemption as well as the Sharp by Design Evo Typhoon. Again, very, very close in length to the Typhoon. And dare I say it, the ergos are kinda similar. Not super close, but probably the closest knife I have in terms of ergos, actually. But it's really hard to even compare it with that because there's just a lot going on with this knife, from blade to handle. Just very unique, very unique. Not in a bad way. There's some things I don't love about this knife, but there are also some things that I really do love about this knife. Let's start with the blade as always. Very unique, kind of doesn't even begin to explain it. But nonetheless, a very unique blade shape with a pretty interesting compound grind. I don't know how great this compound grind would be for your typical EDC knife, but nonetheless, it does have a decent edge. Let's start with the tip though and work our way down. We have a very, very sturdy tip. That I wouldn't call it slicey, but it's definitely one that can put in some good work. It is rather thin at the tip. I want to say I got about 25 thousandths up at the tip, 25, 26 thousandths. It gets a lot thicker quicker. But as you can see, the way this grind comes up, we have like this really long, I guess we'll call this a swedge, on the whole back of the blade up to this tip, and it ends just before the tip, and then you kind of have the grind line from the upper portion of this. It's not a tanto, but this compound grind, the upper portion of it kind of collides with the swedge right before the tip, and it just makes for a very sturdy, extremely sturdy, but very unique tip. It's going to be pretty good for piercing because it's going to be very sturdy, very strong. I don't know if slicey is the word, but we'll call it a hard worker. I think we can definitely call it a hard worker, especially with that S35. It's going to give you a decent amount of toughness and pretty darn good edge retention. Going down into the lower half of the blade, you have, well, let's make a pit stop in the middle here, because you have this where the compound grinds meet. You have kind of this thicker grind up here, down to a thinner grind here. It's very unique. When I was doing the test cutting with this on cardboard and especially paper, it just, any other blade you could take and just whoosh, 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 go right through paper, no issue. When the paper hits this point right here, the change in the compound grind, it feels weird. It can throw the cut off. Now, again, not everyone's going to be cutting just paper, but in all honesty, I think most of us, majority of us anyway, maybe not most of us, but majority of us for sure, aren't doing a whole lot more than cutting open packages and bags and paper with our knives, unless you're using it for a real trade. It's pretty minimal stuff, so you're going to be using it up here for the most part. But this is just kind of a weird area for me in terms of performance. Now, it's not that it can't cut. That's the farthest thing from that. But I just don't know how much I love this compound grind. Now, down towards the bottom here, it is a little thinner, coming in closer to 21 thousandths. But it's so far down there. I mean, it's not the first part of the blade you use. So it's just a very unique blade. Again, I don't necessarily hate it, but it's by no means a slicer. More of kind of a heavy-duty blade, but it has such an odd shape. It's really going to be one, guys. This is a knife, because of the blade for the most part. It's a knife that makes you happy. It's a fun one to carry around. It's totally usable. I mean, it's got a sharp edge. You can cut things open with it. But it hits differently in terms of use than a lot of other traditional EDCs with a fuller flat grind or a hollow grind. Just a very, very unique blade. All things considered, it's very attractive, but just not the most practical blade. At the end of the day, though, in all honesty, like I said, it'll cut. So it comes down to just how practical you want to be, how slicey you want your blade to be. Now, you do have some decent jimping up here. It's kind of tough, though. It's like, I feel it. Some people would not like this. I don't know if it's barely functional, I guess is the best way to put it. But I do get some traction. I do feel it. It really depends. I think, it's going to come down to the user on that one. It's not the grippiest or tackiest jimping I've ever felt. So, yeah, kind of just what it is. The real thing about this blade that just really sticks out to me is the overall shape of it and the tip and kind of this portion up here. This is the portion I'm going to be using most of, and it's not the sliciest blade in the world. But again, do you want it to be? Does it have to be? That goes up to the user. Now, going into the handle and ergos, the ergos are actually great. I have no issues with the ergos whatsoever. It fills my hands with no hot spots. I really, really enjoy this shred / marble carbon fiber. It is mostly shred, but it does have some marbled points to where I kind of, yeah, and maybe it's just the way the light hits it. I'm not sure. But regardless, I do like it. It's not that cheap looking type of shred carbon fiber. I guess I probably would classify it as shred, but it just, you see down here, see the way the light hits it, it kind of gives it that marbled look. So I am a big fan of that. And I really like the quality that went into this inlay. Now, this is not like the Riot transition, but it's not supposed to be. This is kind of a raised inlay, but they did a really good job the way they did it. They didn't just make it one straight corner. They kind of knocked the corners down to kind of just raise it up a little from the titanium, but it just worked really well the way they did it. Big fan of it. There's no real flaws in the carbon fiber. I like the unique kind of outline of the inlay. It's very different, and there's also a lot of contouring here in this scale. As you can see, it's hard to try and, there we go. Whoop, I touched the blade there. That is a sharp blade. Yeah, contouring up along here, angling there. Just a very, very unique handle. And as you can see, there's a significant amount of contouring from just from left to right over here. Definitely notice it in the hand, and it feels pretty darn good. It really does. I like this clip a whole lot. It's nice and smooth on the side, so you don't really feel that at all. It's flat. It It really does. It's a clip that you feel, but you don't mind feeling it one bit because of how flat it is and how well it sits in your palm. Very, very good on the ergos. Nothing to pick about the ergos at all. And going into that liner, so easy to get in there. They milled out 2 sections, so you stick your thumb in there. And this blade, you got to be careful because this is almost guillotine drop shut style here. It's fun. It is a fun knife to carry and fidget with. As you can see, I'm coming close to taking off a chunk of my thumb, but I'm slightly skilled and slightly stupid. So when you put that together, you do this with your knife. So it's kind of fun to do. It is fidgety. I do enjoy doing this. There's a lot of things I enjoy about this knife, and the action is definitely probably the biggest part of it. Because the flipper works very well. It has the action on the close of something like a Shirogorov, and I fully mean that. It's not quite the same on deployment, of course, but the closing action, whoo, there we go. Got my nail. We'll stop on that. But it does. It really does. The ergos are great. It comes out great. This just reminded me. Not a fan of that. Really not a huge fan of that. I think Ostap Hell's a fantastic designer. He has some really, really incredible designs to his name, but I don't want to see that on any blade. Even if I don't care who it was. I don't like that one bit. I'd rather see it, somewhere up here, whatever. Not headlined on the blade. No disrespect there, but yeah, just not a fan of that. Really wish that wasn't there. But it is on the lock side. Thank God it's not on the show side. But yeah, very, very unique in general. I think the action is definitely the best thing about this knife to me. The ergo's right behind it. And the blade, I still don't, even after carrying this, using it, I don't know what to say about this blade. I really don't. You guys tell me, would you pull the trigger on this knife? 238? 238 actually, for the size and quality and materials in this knife, I don't have any issues with 238. I'm not sure about this blade. It's really the most unique blade I think I've ever come across. So I'm going to throw this one to you guys. In terms of action and ergos, I would 100% recommend it. I think it's fantastic. As for the blade, I want to hear from you. You tell me, would you buy this knife with a blade, with a grind and shape and edge the way this is? I'm a little bit perplexed by it right now. I don't like it enough to say I would buy it to use the blade as like a true EDC everyday user, but at the same time, this is a hobby. This is something that sometimes we buy knives because we just like the way they look and we think they would look good in our collection. This is definitely one of those knives. It would look great in a collection. It's fun to fidget with. It's just really cool. It's a cool knife. Not your typical everyday use style kind of blade, but again, it might be for you. Maybe you have a certain need or requirement for the use that you put your knife through each day. Tell me. I want to hear from you guys. What do you think about the blade? What do you think about the knife in general? Very unique to me. Just looking at it sit there, it is such a beautiful knife and a gorgeous design. But would you guys buy this? Yay or nay? Let me know. I do like it in general. I do like it. But let me know. I'm really interested to hear your thoughts on this one. I hope you guys enjoyed it. This has been quite a different take on a review, but it's the best I had for you. It is what it is. Let me know what you think. I hope you enjoyed it. Hope you have a great rest of your day. And until the next one, I'm out.